Hi everyone, it's Juliet here, and today we are going to be learning how to make this gorgeous pendant that is using some of the supplies out of my latest signature collection at Potomac Beads, and I will put a link for everything below. So this is the first thing that we're going to be making. We are going to do another video that has a chain to join onto this pendant, but you can also not do that if you want. You can just put some beads across here and then put a real chain, metal chain if you want. But I wanted to at least show you guys how to do the pendant portion of the project. This is the back, so it should look, I actually made a little mistake here, which is why that is sticking up, but it should look very pretty on the back, and the Rivoli is all enclosed as well. Okay, so let's get into the materials. Okay, let's quickly cover the materials that you will need to make this. So first of all, you will need an 18mm Rivoli, and I am using the Colorshift Bermuda Blue. All of these beads did come out of my signature collection available at Potomac Beads, so I will put a link for that. But if you look at the collection and you kind of scroll down in it, they actually have all the individual items in there listed as well. So very handy for you. You can just purchase individual things if you don't feel like buying the whole collection, although I highly recommend that you do, because I will be using them using it for some other projects as well. Okay, so yes, you'll need an 18mm Rivoli. You will need some StormDuos, and these are the Aztec Gold that also are in the collection. You will need some 3mm crystal Bicones, crystal AB, okay? Here we have some MiniDuos. These are the white shimmer luster. Here I have some 3mm pearls, and these are the color cream, okay? Then into the seed beads, I've got some 15Os here. These are Toho seed beads. They are the gold lined rainbow crystal. This is the item number, and that's the Potomac item number at the top in the box there, okay? You will also need some Delica beads. Here I have a DB286. It is a blue lined, an aqua lined blue is what that one is, okay? And then also I have some 11O round seed beads. These are Miyuki Aztec Gold seed beads. This is the Miyuki number, and this is the Potomac number, okay? And I will be using some DragonThread in crystal size 6 today. And you will need, I would get a whole wingspan just to make sure you have enough to cover yourself, and a beading needle. I'm actually using a size 10 today, but you may want a size 11. These seed beads do have slightly smaller holes because they are coated than maybe a normal Miyuki might have, so you might need to step down in your needle size. Okay, all right, let me get threaded up and we will get started. Okay, so we are going to begin. You're going to leave yourself a 4-inch tail to weave in at the end. You're going to pick up 4 of your 11O seed beads and push those down, and you're going to pass through all 4 of those seed beads again. And make sure that you are forming a loop with your thread when you have passed through, because otherwise they will all just fall off the end, okay? And you can go ahead and pass through the very first seed bead one more time, which should help to close up that loop there nice and tight. Okay, so you will have something like this. You're going to pick up 2 of your Delica beads. You're going to pick up 2 of your 15Os, 1 11O, 2 15Os, and 2 Delica beads. Okay, so 2 Delicas, 2 15s, and 11, 2 15s, and 2 Delicas. I am exiting from this 11-0 right here. I'm going to pass through the 11-0 again, entering onto the other side of the bead. So you can see that I am coming out the top of the bead. I'm entering into the bottom of the bead like this. And then I'm going to move forward through the next seed bead on our little starting ring that we did of our 4 11-0s, okay? We are going to pick up 2 Delicas, 2 15s, 1 11-0, and 2 15s. So you're not going to pick up the extra 2 Delicas here. We are going to sew down these 2 Delicas that are nearest to the bead where our thread is coming out from. We're going to continue through the bead that we were starting in. Okay, so go ahead and sew through those. So you now have a second loop like this. Then move forward through the next 11-0 on that starting ring. Going to repeat the same again. So we're going to pick up 2 Delicas, 2 15s, 1 11-0, 2 15s. We're going to enter into the last 2 Delicas that we added here and into the 11-0 that our thread is coming out from. Okay, and this last one is a little bit different. So you're going to sew up through the last seed bead on that central ring that we have, okay? But here we're not going to add any Delicas. We're going to sew up through the first 2 Delicas that we added at the beginning of this round, okay? So come out from those 2 Delicas. You're going to pick up 2 15s, an 11-0, 2 15s, and you're going to sew through the 2 Delicas on this side and through the seed bead in the middle there, okay? So you should now have kind of a clover shaped or a shamrock shape, okay? So you go ahead and pass up through the next seed bead in the middle. Just move forward 1 seed bead, okay? All right, so now we're going to come up through the next 2 Delicas. You're going to pass through the 2 15-0s, the 11-0, and the next 2 15-0s as well. And we're going to pick up 1 11-0, and we're going to go into the next 2 15-0s and 11-0. And just try and keep your tail out of the way, and through the next 2 15-0s. And again, we're going to just add 1 11-0. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 1 11-0 between the 2 15-0s here, here, and here. So we should have one at the end of each of these spokes of Delicas, okay? So just pick up one and then go through the next two 15-0s, the 11-0, and the next two 15-0s. And when you are adding your very last one, you're going to pass all the way through the next two 15s, the 11, the next two 15s, and then the 11 that is at the end of the next spoke. So you should now have this. You're going to pick up two Delicas, one 11, and two Delicas. And you're going to sew straight into the very next 11-0. So you're only skipping over those two 15s right there, okay? And it's going to kind of create like a little point triangle like this, okay? So again, you're going to pick up two Delicas, one 11, and two Delicas, and you're going to go straight into the very next 11-0. Okay, and you're going to keep repeating this all the way around. And when you are going into your very last 11-0 here, you will have completed that round, and you can step up until you exit from the 11-0 at the point of your little sun shape, okay? Okay, so once you are exiting from the point of the last round, you are going to pick up 5 of your 11-0s, and you're going to sew straight into the very next over point right here, okay? And you're going to do that the entire way around, so just add 5 in between each point, okay? And when you are adding your very last group of 5, you are going to sew into that point that you started at, just to finish off that round. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sew through the first 4 beads of the group of 5. So you're going to not sew into the very last one right here. You're going to come out from the 4th one, then you're going to pick up one Delica, one 11-0, and one Delica, and you're going to skip 3 beads. So you're going to skip the 4th bead of that round, the bead that's connected to the point, and the next bead on this group here. So the first one, you're going to sew through the middle 3 beads on the next little loop, okay? So it should look like this, all right? So again, you're going to pick up Delica, 11-0 Delica. You're going to skip 1, 2, 3, and you're going to go through the next 3, which should be the 3 middle beads of that group, like this, okay? So go ahead and do that the entire way around. And when you get to your very last group, you're going to sew through those 3 and then sew through the Delica and exit from that 11-0 that we put there. And in this round, you can kind of start to cup it upwards. It should start to form a little bit of a bowl shape. Okay, so go ahead and just tighten that in, and it should kind of naturally want to cup a little bit. Okay. All right, so now we're going to pick up an 11-0, a 15-0, and an 11-0, and I'm exiting from one of these 11-0s that's between the 2 Delicas. You're going to sew again through that 11-0, and you're going to sew forward all the way until you exit the next 11-0 that is between the 2 Delicas. Okay, so, and what we want is we want a little unit that looks like a little right angle weave unit like this. Okay, so again, you're going to pick up 11-0, 15-0, and 11-0. So through the same bead again, and then move forward through the Delica 3 11s, the next Delica, and the next 11-0. Okay, so you're going to continue doing that all the way around the circle until you have all of these. I'm going to do this off screen really quickly, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I am adding my last 11, 15, 11 on, and passing through the 11 again, plus the Delica, the next 3 11s, the Delica, and the next 11. Okay, so you should now have something that looks a bit like this. All right, hopefully you do. You're going to sew up through the 11 and the 15 on that little unit. Okay, so we're now coming in this direction instead. All right. All right, so you're going to pick up a 15-0, a pearl, a 15-0, so 15, 3mm pearl, and 15, okay? And you're going to sew straight over into the next 15-0, and you're going to pull that inwards, and it's going to like start to cup up like this, okay? So again, you're going to pick up a 15, but this time instead of a pearl, you're going to pick up one of your 3mm bicones and then a 15. Okay, so we're going to alternate between the pearls and the bicones, but you're always picking up a 15-0 at the front and the end. Okay, so pull that in, and then here we're going to do 15-0 pearl and 15-0. And then we're going to do 15-0 bicone and 15-0. And you're going to do this until you have 4 pearls and 4 bicones. Okay, so I'll just whiz through this. And when you are adding your last one on, you're going to sew through the 2 15-0s and exit from the first pearl. So you should not be entering into any 11-0s, you're just going through 2 15-0s and through the first pearl. And at this point, you're going to want to get your Rivoli and stick it in there. And what we're going to do now is we're going to get him fixed in here a little bit better, okay? So pass through sorry, don't pass through anything. You're coming out from the purl. You're going to pick up two 15-0s and you're going to go through the bicone. So you're just going straight through the bicone. So you should have three 15-0s already here, and you're creating a new little bridge with two 15-0s up above. And again, pick up two and go straight into the next purl. Okay, and you're going to do this all the way around so that you have, so it looks like this. So you're just going straight from purl to bicone to purl to bicone, okay? Okay, so when you get back to your first purl that you started in, it should now look like this. And the nice thing is you can see the crystal kind of through the side there as well. It should all feel quite secure. Your back should feel nice and secure. Everything should kind of feel pretty secure. So we have one more step that is kind of optional. You don't have to do this step, but I think it looks nice. Okay, so you're going to exit from, you're going to move forward through the very next 15-0, and you're going to pick up a Delica bead, and then you're going to sew backwards through the two 15-0s on the inside. You're going to sew forward through the Delica, and then you're going to sew through the third 15-0 on the outside ring, like this, okay? And that is just gonna kind of put this Delica here, and what you want to do is you kind of want to smush it in there a little bit so it almost forms a flower shape, okay? See how it's kind of like nestled in there? Like I said, this is optional if you don't want to do this, but so I'll just show you. You're going to sew through this first 15-0 right here. Pick up your Delica. You're going to sew through these two. Sew through the Delica. Sew through this third 15-0 that's on here. Okay, so this one, and then through the purl. And again, sew through this one. Pick up your Delica. Go backwards. So through the Delica, and then go forward through the third one. So let's just do that so that you, I want to make sure you understand what you're doing here. So you go through that very first 15-0 on the outside, you pick up your Delica, you go back through the two inside 15-0s, you move forward through the Delica, and then you move forward through that third 15-0 and then forward through either the purl or the bicone, depends where you are on the thing, okay? And then you can kind of smush it in, all right? So it just gives a little bit more dimension, I think, and it's like a nice little accent there. Like I said, you don't have to do it. It looks pretty the way it is now. That's just a little optional extra for you. So I will quickly do the rest off screen, and then I will come back to you. Okay, so I just finished doing that extra bit of embellishment. If you haven't done that, you're going to want to reinforce, but doing the extra embellishment kind of does reinforce it. So, and you may want to reinforce other areas anyway. So if you feel like it's super loose, but I mean, there is a little bit of softness in it, but it's not really, really soft. So what you can do is you can go down through here and then just go around this last ring one more time, which should help tighten everything up, or if you have your tail at the back, you can wind through anything on the back that might need a little fixer-upper, like right here. I don't know why that's like that. I might have to go in and reinforce that area. So reinforce anything that's a little bit weird. Okay, and then I'll show you what we're going to do after that. So I am coming out from this pearl right here. I'm going to move forward through the first two outer 15 O's. So you're coming out from that second 15O on that group of 3, and then you can move down through the right angle weave unit and exit from the seed bead at the base of that unit right there, okay? And this is where you're going to want to figure out where is your top and your bottom. So for me, I think it looks better to have the pearls as the top and the bottom. That's my personal opinion because they are more visually visible, okay? Okay, so what you want to do is you want to be exiting from the gap that is underneath one of your bicones. So just scooch forward until you get to the middle 11O underneath one of your bicones. So come out from that middle 11O that is even with one of your bicones, okay? You're going to pick up, and this is where you're going to need your StormDuos, and do make sure that you check the holes and things first, because you don't want to put one on and then discover you can't get through. Okay. So you're going to pick up a StormDuo and you're going to go through, so there's kind of two possible entries to a StormDuo. You can either go through the humped side or the cupped side, okay? And it doesn't matter which way up it is, there's always a humped side and a cupped side, like this, okay? So there's always, so you're going to enter into a hump, then you're going to pick up one pearl, and then you're going to go into a cup. So we've got hump, pearl, cup, and so they will face each other like so, okay? I'm coming out from this middle 11O, and I'm going to sew straight through that middle 11O again, and I'm going to continue forward all the way and just try and pull all the slack out of that, okay? You're going to continue forward until you come out from the middle of the next group of 3 that is underneath the pearl. Try not to catch that, and I'm just gonna take a second to try to get this seated as nicely as I can. Okay, so right now it may be able to flap around and stuff. Just get it on as well as you can, okay? You're going to pick up a 15O, 3 of your MiniDuos, and one 15O. 15O, 3 MiniDuos, and a 15O. You're going to continue through that seed bead and continue all the way until the next group of 3 11Os. Okay, so that's gonna do that. Exit from the middle of the next group, and this time you will be underneath a bicone. we're going to do the same thing that we did here. So you're going to enter into the hump side, pick up a purl, and then go into the cup side. Okay, so enter in hump, purl, and then enter in cup. And then again, you're going to go through the next few beads and exit from the next 11-0 that is between the two bicones there, okay? And just try and push this so that it's sitting kind of flat against. Okay, so we have something like this. These will move around, but yeah, it should look kind of like that, okay? You're going to be, so you're exiting from this 11-0 that's between your two Delicas. You're going to pick up one 3mm bicone, and you're going to go up into that first StormDuo, okay? Hang on, I need to check a few others here because I'm going to need some more. Okay. Exiting from the StormDuo, you're going to pick up one more 3mm bicone, then you're going to enter into the cup side and then the hump side. So they should again be opposites. So you're doing cup and then hump, and then you're going to pick up one more bicone. Okay, so you have this. So bicone, enter cup side, enter hump side, and then another bicone. And you're going to jump all the way over to the outer hole here, okay? So go ahead and pull that nice and tight like this. And then you're going to sew up into the outer hole of your MiniDuo like this, okay? You're going to pick up a 3mm bicone and go through the next MiniDuo. Another 3mm bicone, go through the next MiniDuo, and then you're going to sew from the outside of that StormDuo into the inside, okay? So like this. Then you're going to pick up a bicone. You're going to go again, this time cup side, then hump side, and then pick up your bicone. You're going to go into the other hole of the outside StormDuo. Again, kind of pull. And one more bicone, and you're going to sew into the gold bead that is between these two, going back towards where we came from, okay? So through that gold bead right there. Okay, so it looks like this, and we need to kind of reinforce this whole thing. So you're going to sew all the way over till you reach the gold bead right here where we started from, and we're going to go through all of that again, okay? So I'll do that quickly off screen. Okay, so this next thing is kind of up to you if you want to add one more flourish at the bottom down here, which I think I am going to do just to kind of finish it off. And what I'll show you what I'm going to do, because I'm actually going to add one extra purl just in here with a little line of 15 O's to get me up there, okay? So hang on, I need to grab some more beads and make my way down to the bottom here. So just sew around the edge until you get to the bottom, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I made my way to the bottom, and this is just like what we did up here. To begin with, you're coming out from that very middle of those 3 11 O's that is underneath your bottom purl, okay? You're going to pick up from the hump side to the cup side, and then a purl. If I can find the hole. Sorry, I couldn't find the hole on the purl. And then from the cup side to the hump side. So you're going through the hump, purl, and then cup. You're going to pass through that bead again and then move forward through the next seed bead, the Delica, and the very next seed bead. And try and get that to sit. You might need to kind of pull and massage until it kind of sits correctly, okay? Then you're going to pick up a 3mm bicone. You're going to go up through the other hole of that StormDuo. Then you're going to pick up a bicone, and then this time we are going through on the StormDuos, we are going to go through the cup side and then the hump side and then another bicone. Then you're going to go through the other StormDuo, and pick up one more bicone, and you're going to sew through this gold bead and the Delica, the 3 seed beads, the Delica, and the next gold bead. Pull this tight, and if you need to, in a minute you can go back and sew through this path again if it's kind of acting a little bit weird, okay? So from here, you're going to go again up through the bicone, through the StormDuo, and go through the next bicone as well. Then you can pick up 3 of your 15 O's, and you're going to go up into the outside hole of the same StormDuo. Go ahead and pick up your purl. Go through the other StormDuo. And then again, pick up 3 15 O's. You're going to go through that bicone and the StormDuo below. Okay, so it's like this. And up through the bicone. And I highly recommend, because we're coming out of bicones here, that you reinforce that again. And on the way here, I'm gonna exit from the very first, so I'm going to go through the gold bead, the Delica, and the next gold bead. I'm not gonna go into that middle gold bead. I'm going to pass up through the StormDuo, through the purl, and down through the StormDuo. And then I'm going to go into that last of the 3 beads plus the Delica and the next gold bead, just to kind of try and help this area stay a little bit better. Yeah, that helped a lot. Okay. All right, so it's gonna look something like this, okay? You can reinforce if you need to, and once you feel like it's all sitting nicely, you can tie in your threads. And then the nice thing about this is you can kind of do whatever you want to add a chain. So if you want, you could just put a little ring of seed beads here and put a chain on and you're done, okay? Or you could build a chain here. which is probably what I'm going to do, some sort of chain, which I will do in another video for you because I am not really sure yet what that's going to look like. So I want to get this video out first. So I will come back to you once I know what that is and show you the chain if you want to do a beaded chain. But if you don't, like I said, you could probably just do a few little 15 O's across here and then you're ready to go. Okay, so it's kind of up to you there. So let me tie this all in and then I will come back in a minute. Okay, so here is my pendant finished. I just want to give you 2 tips. The first tip is if you are having struggles with these StormDuos here, another thing you can do is go through your 3, exit from your Delica, and then go up and over and then enter into the next Delica. So do it on both of them. Okay, so that does help to, because you're pulling from further out from the 2 Delicas, it does help to kind of straighten those out a little bit. And the other thing is if you have a weird bit on the back like I did right here, I discovered why I actually miscounted my beads here when I was going into with the Delicas. So that is why that was bunching up. So I'm probably going to end up taking this one apart and remaking it. But anyway, so you've got your beads here ready for you to make a chain, and I will do a chain in another video for you. I don't have a lot of time today to, you know, do more on this video. So I will leave you with this pendant for now, and I will see you guys very soon for another video. Take care. Bye.